table that and move it forward. And my intention for this week is just to spend intentional time with my dear friends, the Kraus family, who are coming to visit and stay with us for a week. My habit update, I downloaded Set Vision Plan Change. I printed off the workbook, and I've finished the welcome and the first lesson, and I'm loving it. It's amazing.
So good. So good. Who is next? Sorry, Jennifer, about forgetting to start recording. All right. Haley, how about you go?
Sure, I'll go. So my update kind of links in with Brogan's because my win and my lesson are kind of linked together because I'm in a Christmas show this week. And so last night we had a rehearsal until 11:30, and I was supposed to get up at 5 to teach a boot camp this morning. And I realized that there are other people that are capable also to do this. It didn't have to be me. So I had someone cover the class, so I got to sleep in, and we have 6 shows starting tomorrow. So it felt really good to know that, just because it's my responsibility, but as long as I delegate correctly, then I'm still being responsible. So that felt really good. So knowing that I don't have to do it all is just a nice feeling too, especially because I'm growing a little babe. That's something that I have to remind myself of too. So my most important thing last week, I think, because now I'm like 15 weeks pregnant, so I'm thinking of like, gotta get ready for mat leave. No, I wrote administrative last week, and I put beside it this week because I have 3 big events from last week to this week, and those were my most important things. So switch that. We have our Academy Christmas concert on Tuesday next week, so it's all things Christmas concert, prepping all the classes and parents and students, and so that's my most important thing for this upcoming week. And December plan, attended Set Vision Plan Change with Catherine live, which was amazing. Catherine, you are so wonderful, and I'm really excited to dive back in because we spent 3 hours together, and I still have like 70% of the pages to do. So yeah, going to be working on that because that's technically my December plan, is setting myself up well for January.
Love it. So good. And then you know what I realized? We didn't get a photo together.
And we were matching. Like, we coordinated.
I know. We were wearing the same outfit. I was looking through my photos, and I'm like, I didn't get a photo with Haley. This is horrible.
Yeah,
anyway, I'm very sorry. Next time. All right, Megan, Tiana, who can either of you go? I don't know what your situation is.
I can't.
Tiana!
Hey. I'm like hiding in a back room at my gym. Okay. When I do intermittent fasting, and after vacation where I ate all the crap, it was really hard. So I am officially back on that, and I feel so much better. Something I learned, you guys, the WhatsApp was like just so good for me last week, even though I still feel kind of stuck. But the biggest thing I learned from last week is I just need to do social media my way. So I was posting like 6 or 7 days a week. And so now I'm down to 4, and it just feels like I have some breathing room, and that's really good. My MIT from last week was to stick to my work hours, and I actually did it. And I had another email-free weekend. Yeah, it was really awesome. And my MIT this week is we are leaving on vacation today or tonight. We drop our kids off, and then we're driving to Florida for a cruise. And I'm just like so ready. So it's just like about unplugging for the next few weeks. Habit update. I'm just getting in a lot of time with my family, even though we're working like crazy. I'm really excited. Like, I've taken time every day to just stop in the middle of my workday and spend time with my kids. And I don't have a December plan because we're going to be gone for most of it, but I think that my plan is to rest. So, yeah.
That is a perfect plan. That is your plan. Your December plan is to rest, and that's so good. I love it. Such a great update. All right, Megan, you want to do your update?
Sure. So a win from last week. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that's hard. Well, I started my mastery program. So that's my graduate coaching program. And we're already starting to dive into that and having all sorts of success calls. And I've already had a few really good meetings with my business partner sort of person, Monica. One thing I learned, I'm kind of in the same boat as Ashley. I have not been consuming a whole lot because I want to put myself into action. We have archetypes for our mastery program though, so I found out I'm a cultivator, which I love. So basically that's just like I'm past the learning phase and now I have to start attracting clients consistently and then I become a developer. So that's basically my January, February, March plan is just getting my like client, like lead generation in place. Most important thing I think last week was Instagram. So I've actually got a few things in my I downloaded Preview instead of Buffer, so I'm using that to plan my feed. So that is going well. What were the other things, Catherine? Habit update. I'm still walking, and we're taking the kids, even though it's like -20 and windy and snowing now outside, and going out before sunrise. And December looks good. I think I'm gonna start like a cleanse just to get some people on my email list and see if I can help some people during the holiday season that's like super stressful. And if anyone's getting like really sick, you know, if you're that person who always gets sick and always gets stressed at the holidays, I think I'm gonna do like an adrenal fatigue cleanse that's free for everyone as sort of like a challenge. Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
That's cool. I love it. Just for all of you guys that are in the States or don't use Celsius, -20 Celsius is -4 Fahrenheit. So that's that's what Megan's taking her kids out in. And it's true. It's what you just do. You just dress for it. But anyway, yeah, Jen had a great face there. She was like, what? All right, Jen, can you do your update or are you going to type it? No, you'll type it. Okay, sounds good. I'll do mine. You go ahead and type. I was like, don't talk out loud. Okay, so I'll do my update really quick. Sorry, I had too many tabs open. Okay. So set vision plan change was really wonderful. That's my win. It kind of got my nerves out because I hadn't hosted a live event for like 2 years, so it was good. And I learned, and so here's the one thing, because I love that some of you were just like, this is like a focus, like a taking action, and it's not about like learning or consuming things. And so just a reminder, learning just has to be an observation or something you learn about yourself, right? It doesn't have to be something from active learning. It doesn't have to be like from a book or a podcast. Sometimes it is. But like my learning was like, I need to plan in a full day of recovery on my calendar after running an event. So luckily I had a pretty chill day on Saturday, but like I didn't even want to go get groceries. I was like, hey babe, I'm not leaving the house. Here's a sticky note. Take M and please go get these 7 things. I was just like, I'm just not going anywhere. And so that was just another notice. Like, okay, when I'm planning an event or when I get back from a conference or whatever, like I need to have at least 1 or 2 days of just like chill to recover and get my energy back before I go into something. So my MIT last week was getting registration done, which is done. Some of you guys are signed up for the year already. I was like, wow, so excited. But pulled that one off by the skin of our teeth. My MIT this week is hosting 2 quarterly planning parties today. So it's a big day for me. Habit of sleep. It's been so bad, you guys. This is what happened because we've only been working at night on like all the stuff. So yeah, it's not been good. My December update, here's what I've decided. And this is not necessarily about this December, but I have decided I'm never launching in December again. That's just, I've like, nope, this is not happening. So yesterday, just to help me get this out of my brain, because I don't know if you guys ever experience this where it's like, you've got this thing that you're thinking about but you're trying to do other things, but you keep thinking about it. So sometimes you just need to like get it on paper, and then you can be like, okay. So I'll even show you guys. I printed a 2019 calendar yesterday, and I used my highlighter, and I planned out my 4 quarterly planning parties, my launch weeks, and like when I'm doing it so that it's not in December. So I'm moving Set Vision Plan Change to November, and I'm going to launch in November. And then I'll still host the quarterly planning party in December after we finish Set Vision Plan Change. Anyway, it all is going to make so much sense. But so it was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'll host that, and then I'll be done. So, yeah, which is great because I want to be able to focus on family and holidays and getting prepared for Christmas and not launching. So anyway, that's why I'm not worried about this launch. I'm like, whoever signs up, and then I'll focus on this in March. I will do this again. All righty. So let's jump into hot seats. Tiana and Ashley. Who's going first? And thanks for the encouragement, guys. Sometimes you have to do it to know, right? Like last year when I launched, I was coming off of mat leave. So it was the only thing I'd been doing was getting prepared to launch. And then I launched, right? But this year it's like I've done a whole year and I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't sitting right. So I'm excited about it. Did Tiana, you put your hand up?
I can go.
Go for it. I'm going to put a timer on because I want to make sure we've got time for Ashley and time for Set Vision Plan Change, but go for it.
Okay. So I put it in the notes. Hopefully everybody got to read it, but long story short is I'm still having trouble with content. And I wanted to get some feedback from some real women, about what kind of content. So I'm a boudoir photographer. I think we all know that. But I talk a lot about loving yourself and feeling comfortable and confident in your body. But it's not just like about your body. It's about your heart and your mind and your soul and just like being healthy. But I use photos to like encourage people. So I'm wondering what are some topics that I can talk about in that. I just need some ideas. And then for my retreat as well, just like some ideas of what real women would interact with.
I think one of the biggest things for me, just kind of thinking about if I came across your Instagram, is I would love to hear real stories from other women who've been in front of the camera and like what their thought process was and how they overcame that fear to actually book the appointment. And like, I feel like that's such a vulnerable thing. I mean, to take your clothes off for somebody and have these really intimate shots taken, I would want to know, like, I would be scared to death to even book one of those. Like, how do I overcome that fear? Why would this be something that would be empowering versus, you know, scary? I think maybe some education on like the actual booking or the mindset around overcoming that fear and saying, yes, I want this, I need this in my life would be something that would be really attractive to me. Especially because, you know, every woman, I don't care what size, shape, color, nationality, background, sexual orientation you are, we are all insecure in our bodies. We all think that we're not good enough. And so like really addressing those points as well, I think would hit the nail on the head for me.
I have a question about that because you're kind of in this area with your job. So I have that. I have some of that. Like they have a questionnaire that they fill out with me. So they talk about their insecurities. They talk about, they don't talk about what made them book. And I need to add that to the questionnaire. But I think my question is like, sometimes I get these like my most recent client, she filled out paragraphs and then sometimes I get 1-word answers. So I like, that is all really powerful stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how to make sure I get it.
I also use a copywriter. So okay. You guys filled out those surveys and I give her access to them. And then I get her to write me a long version, a short version, and pull out like 3 or 4 quotes. And so that has made, like, we've never done that before. We only did this like this last time. And that has made pulling stuff for launch so much easier. Because I said to Joseph, okay, I want this quote, this quote, this quote, this quote. And he made some updated square images for me. But then like Michelle actually wrote like a long one that we could put in a newsletter. So a couple of them are in some of the promo launch emails. And then some of the shorter ones, I'm actually putting the whole thing on Instagram as like a testimonial. And so I think also asking like really pointed questions, like not even just like, how did you feel before, but like, you know, explain how, like what you were feeling before you booked and how those feelings change during or after your session, like getting that before and after, as opposed to like being really strategic maybe with the wording of some of your questions to get the answers that you're looking for.
Okay.
I think that kind of ties in with, I think I've told you guys about epiphany stories before. But Tiana, like if the epiphany story script is like, you do the backstory and then your clients probably hit a wall somewhere and they like didn't think they could get past it, and then they kind of went looking for something else and they found you, and then they probably, it might not even have happened before your session, but their like epiphany, their moment of why boudoir is like important to them now, it might have happened during the session or even after the session. So you kind of have to collect like at different points of their story and see when that change really happened. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so.
And honestly, I think you could also gather a ton of great information when you're actually doing the shoot and just kind of build it in as part of like your conversation to get them comfortable and warmed up. I think you're going to get a lot more vulnerable responses, because I think it would be hard to sit down and kind of type, well, you know, I really think I was too fat and I really hate my butt and blah, 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 blah. But I might tell that to you in person, whereas I might not write it out, because I'm going to write it out and then I'm going to go, oh my God, I'm not telling this stranger this. And then I'm going to backspace and I'm going to say, oh, I was just really insecure. And so I'm going to give you a much more like truncated answer than maybe if you were just having a conversation with me like my best girlfriend, right? And I love what Jen said about seeing different body types. I also would think that like tackling different body issues would be a really cool way. Like, what if I'm, you know, nervous about my double chin, or what if I'm nervous about my belly, or what if I'm nervous about the dimples on my butt, or whatever it is your issue. I think kind of addressing those would be like, you know, here's how we make sure you look your best and feel your most confident no matter what your trouble spot is.
So that's like, and I 100%, and I responded to Jen about this. That's like my hardest thing, because my curvy girls do not sign model releases. And honestly, 70% of my clients do not sign model releases. So it's like so hard, because I want to talk about it. And I show, like when girls email me that are bigger, they're like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, yes, you can, because like 50% of my clients are regular sized women. It's just, I literally can't show their photos because they want their privacy. So it's just like, I'm stuck. Ooh, a model call. I should do that. But I don't know how to say that. I just feel so rude. I feel like if you're this size, don't like, how do you say that nicely? Like,
I would say, oh.
No, go Ashley.
Okay, I was going to say, I would just say it's really important to me that I represent women of all sizes in my work. In order to do this, I need women who are willing and able to let me share their images on social media. I'm specifically doing a call for plus size women, curvy models, blah, 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 blah. What, you know, maybe do a little research on those terms.
Recent moms.
Yeah.
And like, you feel so insecure that first year after you give birth. You're like, what is going on with my body? Right. So like, that's just another, like, and I think it's not just about size.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like color and shape. And like, we all have different shapes of bodies. And
it's so hard. Like, cause I have a lot of Black girls too, and they never let me share their photos. And I'm like, I want the color too. It's a cultural thing though, I think.
But I
Not
would
wanting to be
definitely
public
do a
about it.
call. Yeah, and maybe offer something like, you get a free book of all your images, or you get the session fee free. I'm not sure exactly how you charge for it, but I would definitely, I'll give you this for free, but you've got to let me share the images.
Yeah.
Megan made it a good point in the comments too. She said, have you asked them about one specific photo?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
like a photo that doesn't show their face.
It doesn't show their face, only shows their face, so like no parts. It's like such a cultural. But yeah, no, but I mean, I think doing that model call, usually for the model call, I waive the session fee, I pay for their hair and makeup, and I give them like 5 free images, so I'm not editing like 150 or something like that. But I just need to be bold and be specific, I guess.
Tiana, have you put that on Instagram? Like the cultural differences?
I haven't.
Because that is like super interesting to me. I would definitely read those posts.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that you were saying that you felt like you were repeating things on Instagram and always saying the same things. Like I went through a lot of your feed yesterday. It doesn't feel like that at all.
Oh, good.
No, I was gonna give the same feedback because I've been following you for a while, and I was like, these are her themes. I totally had not picked up that you had a regular kind of schedule.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's really encouraging. Do we have time to jump really quickly to the retreat?
Yeah, let's just take 2 minutes. Also, you have to read Jen's comment. I'm Latina, and my mom would die if I posted that. But why? That's what I think is so important to understand. Like, why? Anyway.
Well, and I get it because I'm mixed, and so I don't know what it is, and I think it's like, I think it is probably like part of the family aspect of what. I'm sorry, guys, it's so loud. I'm gonna go outside. Of like what you assume people think, or just like how things are more closed off. I don't know, but yeah, so like the retreat is definitely more about like women and empowerment and loving. Boudoir is a really small part of it, so I didn't know what other kind of content I could share for that.
Yeah, so just a couple of notes that I had, and they fit for both. So now that you have the content planner, it's going to be so much easier because you're going to know what I'm talking about. But basically, so the sections that I thought would be really good for you is do the content remixing section, and also have a look at the 6 degrees of separation / like wildcard topics section. So this is so what you've basically got already is like what is like your major content themes, content topics. You kind of already got that in what you listed out. Your wildcard topics is where you start thinking 6 degrees of separation, which is kind of like what are the things that are not necessarily exactly related to what you do or what you normally talk about, but they're still linked in some way. And so there's a couple of examples in the planner that you can have a look at. So the example that I give is like a business coach who, looks after like first year business owners. She talks mostly about like mindset stuff, setting your offers up, yada, yada, like that kind of basic stuff. Her 6 degree of separation things could also be talking about keeping things simple, like KonMari method, like all that kind of stuff, linked to simplifying, keeping things essential, not losing track and getting, distracted by all of the things. So I think that will help you feel not like you're saying the same things all of the time. Because even though all of us have said, no, we don't feel like you're saying that, if you still feel like you're doing the same thing all the time, over time, it's going to get hard for you to continue doing it. So in order for you to feel like there's enough variety, have a look at the content remixing side of things. Have a look at, 6 degrees of separation. Like what else can I talk about that is linked? And even some of the things we were talking about before, like insecurity, like confidence. It's not like, it's not like it is like kind of exactly linked, but it's also like a bit off to the side as well. So kind of like keep that in mind when you're thinking of topics and what to talk about. and also pull stuff from like what Catherine was talking about. Basically, like it's what we call like having like a copy bank. So you take like snippets of what comes up in a testimonial or what someone says on social media, you grab that, you put it in a document. So just keep an eye out, an ear out for how people either describe working with you. Like Ashley said, like during the day when you're taking photos, like just take mental notes of the language that they're using, the things that they're talking about, even the other kind of like random things they might be talking about that doesn't seem exactly linked to actually getting their photograph taken. Sometimes that can be like a coping mechanism. Like when we get stressed out, we start talking about these random things like to try and deflect. So all of that can be helpful in giving you that kind of like bigger picture of other things you can talk about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's so good. And the other thing that I would say, like specifically with like your retreat, I mean, you'll be able to share testimonials and pitch and stuff like that. But also thinking, in that when you're like looking at like that bigger, oh gosh, now my thought, I was like, wait, it started and now it's gone. I'll get back to you if it comes back up, but no, it disappeared. I had one thought though for your other site, not necessarily Truly Retreat, which was like even in the behind the scenes, like you talk a little bit about like selecting stuff to wear for your boudoir shots, but you could possibly even just talk about like that at home, like just even like things that help, you know what I mean? Like that would be like that 6 degrees of separation. So like not just what you wear for a shot, but like what helps you feel confident. What about like bringing in somebody who's like a bra fitting person and like, you know what I mean? Like having someone share and doing like a week about that. Like those are the kinds of things that it's like that all helps build confidence. That has nothing to do with the shoot, but eventually they might feel confident enough to do that. So anyway, that's the one little thing. And I can't remember the retreat one, but if I think about it, I'll find out.
It's like the attitude. It's like the attitude and the headspace that you kind of like are coaching them into during the shoot is like, how can they actually experience that on a day-to-day basis? And then that's where that confidence piece comes in. That's where, that all fits in.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Ashley, let's dive into your launch. I'm just pulling up your notes.
Yes.
Big yawn.
No, I'm like, all right. So I considered launching this month to start in January, and then I decided against it. And so now I've given myself some more time and some more space to really do it well. And I'm glad that I did, because literally everybody and her sister is launching something this month. And so now I don't have to fight the noise. I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a couple of you launching, but I know, Catherine, your lesson is a lesson that's close to me as well. So I'm wanting to use this time wisely to build more authority around this topic and this shift, because it is still a very big shift for my business. I feel like the majority of my audience is not the right client to go into the Next Level Leader program. So just a quick recap, Next Level Leader, starting as a group program, I think I'm going to transition it to a course that then leads to a higher level group coaching. So in the course, then they will learn the foundational components that they need. And then in the higher level group coaching program, we'll go more in depth specifically on their challenges. So it'll be an upsell. So I need some help, like brainstorming some ideas around, okay, how can I connect with my audience in the next month and a half or so before I officially launch? And what are some things that would work for this ideal client? Because it is a higher level business owner. They're usually making like right at 6 figures or above. They're not kind of like on Instagram. I found like my clients who are like $100,000 or less. So help with some brainstorming on some ways that I can launch for business owners who are really just busy and they've delegated the social media at this point. I know, it's a hard one.
What's wrong with your current audience? Like, what's keeping them from being a next level leader?
They're usually people who are just getting ready to hire their first people. So they haven't even been through the hiring process yet. So they don't have anybody to lead, which makes them not an ideal candidate for next level leader.
Okay. Why are you making this program? It's not like, what am I trying to ask? Like, why is this important to you? Like what part of your story makes you want to create this program, if that makes sense?
Okay, yeah. So when I started working with my clients, I thought their problem was, I don't know how to hire. After working with them, their problem really is, I'm scared to hire. I don't know how to lead a team. I don't know, all the things that I'm going to need to do. And then once they're in the middle of having these employees, they always say, I really just want to hire A players. I'm hiring all the wrong people. Well, the problem isn't the people. The problem is the person leading the people. And so their problems then become, I'm not a good leader, so I think I'm hiring the wrong people. And so that's who I'm targeting, is business owners who've already hired people, but they either are losing people, the people aren't doing what they want. And I really want to use my experience and my skills from the last 12 to 15 years to help them develop the skills they need to be better leaders, so they can lead A players, or they can lead average players, or they can turn poor players around. Does that make sense?
Love you. Sorry, Adam's just leaving.
I thought you were talking to me.
I love you. I love you too, Ashley.
Okay, great. I love you too.
Okay, what was I going to tell you? So my Expert Secrets book, it like relates to everything, guys. So, Russell Brunson, he kind of preaches this, like, have you heard of red ocean, blue ocean strategy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So anything that's an improvement offer, like what you are currently thinking yours is a red ocean. So there's so many people in that ocean, like you can't make yourself heard. And so what needs to happen for someone to get into next level leader is for them to be like, oh, I'm not a good leader. They have to admit that they're bad at that portion of their job, and nobody likes that. Nobody likes admitting that they're bad at something. So the way that you position next level leader needs to be sort of like, this is the new thing that won't make you a better leader. It's just like a new opportunity for them to get into. So they don't have to admit they're bad. They just know that they want the results that your program is offering. Does that make sense? It's just a different way of like talking to your audience and positioning it so that they don't have to admit that they're failing.
That was my biggest problem with the quarterly, Ashley, is because I realized, like, for people to do like save your schedule, actually people were doing save your schedule because that's an area that people can admit they need help in, but like living intentionally, people don't want to admit they're not living intentionally. So I had to change like my vocabulary and how I talk about the course. I'm pushing the accountability and the community, and if you want to live more intentionally versus, so I do still touch on that if you're overwhelmed, feeling like you can't keep up, like I do talk about those, but it's a smaller part of the bigger
and it's
picture.
Almost, Catherine, would you say it's like, so he uses a term like throwing rocks at your enemies. So it's not so much that you are making us the bad person in that it's our fault that we're overwhelmed. It's like, you've got lots of things in your life. Like all of these things are keeping you back. And I'm going to help you like deal with them.
But then once you're in the program, I'm like, actually, but you're the only one that can stop those things.
Yeah.
It's like, I still am helping people make that change.
Which is awesome though.
But I attract them. But yeah, so I totally see that, and how as someone with employees, you can be like, hey, I want to learn how to do this or be better, but like it is hard to admit we need help. Yeah, I would reach out to some of because I know that the comment you made about the Instagram thing, how the people that are have those businesses aren't actually on Instagram anymore because they've got a team of people. Do you have you started making a list of like some of those people, the companies or the women that you follow that have a team running everything?
No, I don't have a list.
Because I think you should just spend time on Instagram, like people that you follow and like looking for more businesses, because I think and podcast, a great podcast where you could find a lot of people who I think would be in your target market, because is Kate Crocco's podcast, Thinking Like a Boss. Like even her, like she has like a team of like 2 or 3 people that help do stuff and keep her business running. And she does like a small portion of it. So I think it doesn't even always have to be employees, but if someone has more than like 2 or 3 freelancers that they work with, and so maybe the employee thing it feels like a hurdle, because I'm like, I feel like I'm not going to be able to like take your program because I'm not going to qualify for like years, because we're going to try to get as far as we can without hiring an employee. So, but I don't know, maybe it's different in the States.
Yeah, I just worry because the laws in the States between how to treat an employee and a contractor can really get you into a lot of trouble. And a lot of the things I teach is directly toward
Employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to muddy the waters any more than it already is, because most people don't understand it anyways.
True.
So that's why and plus I'm trying to niche down and really just find that target audience. And I want to work with people who have employees.
Yeah.
Because it's vastly different than having contractors. And I've
Is
had
that a training you could do?
about what?
Like employees versus contractors? And like talk about that whole conversation. Could that be a lead magnet for you for finding people?
Yeah, I've done a couple podcast episodes on that, and I've written a blog post and stuff. I haven't done it from a leadership perspective, so that would be a new twist on it that I think could probably help, the difference between leading contractors and employees. But every client I've had who's hired employees is like, wow, this is so different than having contractors. So maybe I can do some like case studies or stories on that.
Yeah.
I think, like as someone who like would like to hire in the future, when I think hire, I think contractors. So like knowing that you're specifically wanting to do employees versus contractors in teams.
Mm-hmm.
Do you target any sort of businesses? Like, any sort of type of businesses? Because I feel like the employee model is more like software startups.
That and product-based businesses hire a lot of employees. Professional service businesses actually hire a lot of employees, accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers. So it kind of crosses a lot of different medians. But it's usually not like.
Do you want to work with accountants?
I mean, they're fine.
But like, what do you want, Ashley? What do you want? Like, have you found like your favorite client? Like,
I like working with a variety because then I don't get bored. I don't want to just work with CPAs. I don't want to just.
I don't think you have to. I think your thing is similar to mine in that it's like, so for me, my ideal client is literally just someone who is open-minded enough to think about content in a different way. And yours is the same with leadership, right? It's people who are willing to educate themselves to become better leaders, to be open to receiving that kind of training, and to be wanting to better themselves so they can better their team. So it's more of like a philosophy than a type of person.
Which is the same with Modern Planner.
Yeah.
Because I tried doing the whole ideal client specific person, and I'm like, guys, my avatar is a stay-at-home mom and a full-time professional and a side hustler and a business owner, and she's anywhere from 20 to 60, and I'm like, I can't handle this, so I just was like, I scrapped it. I'm like, I don't have an avatar. My avatar is a woman who wants to live more intentionally and who wants to be purposeful and learn how to plan better. That's it.
Yeah.
I scrapped it.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
and I found my people.
Yeah, exactly. And actually it's why when I was updating the planner, I completely scrapped, because I used to do the whole, traditional ICA, like yada, yada. After a year or so, I was like, this is a load of crap. Like for most people, it's not actually helpful. And so now I I follow, so Melissa Casera, who's one of my mentors, she has what she calls the Sunday gravy principle, which basically is like anyone who you would like happily invite over for Sunday gravy is your people. Like if you're happy to like spend time with them, you want them in your house.
What is Sunday gravy?
Well, I didn't know. She was like,
is
if
it
you're
like
not
Sunday dinner?
Yeah, it's kind of like for us it would be like, I don't know, like a Sunday roast. Do you have
okay, a roast
it's
with
kind of
gravy?
Like
Maybe it's someone
like,
you'd actually make gravy for and not just use a packet.
That's a good one.
My grandma doesn't pull that out for just anybody. Yeah.
You're my packet gravy friend.
That is so
But
good.
yes, I totally get what you're saying. I haven't had a traditional ICA in like 2 years. I use all psychographics. Like this woman loves this or needs this or has this struggle. And so I totally get that. And that's the thing. That's the thread that binds all of my clients, even though they might be a CPA or they have a product-based business or they're this or that or the other. So
yeah, and I think there'll be
approach though of it's a different way of leading, and that's really a lot of what my content is around, is about, you know, a lot of times, especially, you know, my target audience is female founders, so women who run businesses, and a lot of times we think we have to fit into this certain mold, and we're trying to mimic very masculine leadership styles because that's all we've seen, right? We've almost always had just men who have been our leaders, or, you know, the country was founded on men, or, you know, most of the countries in the world. And so I'm really trying to take that approach that you can bring in those softer, more feminine values and characteristics that you have to lead in a way that feels really good to you, instead of stepping outside and trying to be the man, Catherine.
So I think you have 2 core presentations.
Okay.
That could be possible lead magnets to launch, but I think part of it too for you is you can launch again, but I think you're going to have to really invest in building and finding these people and figure out how to work with them, because they might not be email list people.
and that's what I was going to say.
I think they aren't.
I think a lot of the people actually that you're targeting are not necessarily the founders themselves. It's their employees. Like, I think a lot of like your Instagram content, your main email list is actually the employees, because they're going to be the ones who are having those conversations with their leader, and they're going to know if their leader is open to wanting to know about this kind of stuff. So it's like they're like it's kind of, targeting both of them, because I think the actual leaders themselves, like you said, like they're not going to be scrolling through Instagram. They're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be on 50,000 email lists. They're going to have someone managing their inbox for them. So it's like you need to attract the attention of the people who are actually doing the work.
Yeah, that's good
as well.
And I think the two main things, at least 2 of the ones that you've talked about, I think the conversation of employee versus contractor, I think is great to gear towards women who run their own businesses. Because and I would promote that in Facebook groups and reach out, hey, who has an employee, and use whatever wording you need to, like, and talk about and find places where you can do, you know, 15, 20-minute Facebook lives. They don't need to be webinars all that you host, but like start trying to connect with people that have those communities, that know people that have employees. Like Kathy Olson from Love Inspired, she has a full-time employee that like works for her, you know, like Laura Casey, she has full-time employees, right? Larissa Cortian, she just went to work for a company. She went from being a freelancer to a full-time job working for somebody in New York, right? So like there's these people. And so I would try to find and have the conversation of employee versus contractor and say, if you have employees and that's what it is, here's a resource for you, a free resource to get them on your email list. But then I think the other thing is the soft skills leadership that you were talking about as female. And I think that doesn't have to be just to the business owners. I think that can be the employees too, but any woman that wants to grow in her leadership. And through that, you just keep finding out, and you have surveys and you find out who the people are that actually do that. And hey, do you know another female founder? You know what I mean? And I think rather than maybe like the big ones, like you're just going to have to start slowly working your way up to people that have 1 employee. Oh, you have 3 employees. Oh, cool. You have 5. And, you know, like figuring that out. So, because yeah, you've got your Laura Casey's, you got your Rachel Hollis, you know, but I mean, how big is, she's got tons of employees, right? So you're not going to make that jump.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Marie Forleo. I'm just going to go knock on her door and be like, hey, Marie, I'm here.
But
I'm
you
here with my
started a podcast, which I don't even know if that's something you're thinking of doing, and it was only, or it was like showing some of the differences, you might be able to pitch some of those bigger people for something like that, to have a conversation of employee and leadership, right?
Yeah.
So you never
Actually,
know.
That's a good way to get them into your world too, because then you're inviting the leader onto your podcast to have a conversation.
And they're more apt to do that than they are to like attend a webinar or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Good ideas.
I don't know if that helps you for launch.
Well, you know, after I started thinking about it, I was like, well, I really need the audience before I spend all this energy and time launching. And so this definitely helps. I don't know that I can feasibly create an entire podcast this month.
No. And I don't think that is.
But I can definitely pitch like Facebook Lives and like looking for my ideal client in other bigger audiences and things like that.
And even if you have a targeted window of like 4 weeks and you say, okay, you know what, January, I'm just going to find my people. And maybe like the first week in February, you have a specific training that you pitch your thing on, you know what I mean? And you open the doors, like give yourself some time, but like try to book some of those and like reach out to people now and book things for January, like your next 1 to 2 weeks. Like if you can find some of those and find some connections, and then like host a webinar and open the doors again, at least you'll have a few more people to pull from. And I think if it's a lower priced, as you work your way up, if it's a lower priced course is the first point of entry, and then there's the group coaching, I think a lot of people end up not, like as you work your way up those leaders, less people will do the course and they'll just go straight for the high-end coaching, which ideally is what you
don't want them to do that though. I want them to go through the course and then
the course.
So that way they've got the foundations and I'm able to talk the same language. So my goal is to get people in the course and then only sell the course participants into the higher level.
Cool.
That's the goal. But no, this is really helpful. I know Megan's saying Sunny Lenarduzzi and Amy Lentino have employees. You never know, should write Marie Russell chase Tony Robbins for 5 to 6 years before they met. I love that.
Seriously. And then like Tony Robbins, I think he gave like a keynote speech or something at one of Russell's events. So like he has this list of 100 people that he wants to work with. So you can just create that same thing. And then, you know, every quarter you like send them a gift or like, you know, this is what I'm doing. Like if you'd like to be part of it, like I'll have you for free or, you know,
your
like, whatever. And just like court them.
Your book is going to be a big key for that. Because when your book is written and you can send it to people, to like either asking them to read, to write in the beginning, or like as like gifting for people to like promote about it, like that is going to be a huge way that you're going to be able to like get into those leaders boxes. So I think that's a huge, you're definitely on the right path.
Love it. I'm just taking all the notes. Thank you guys so much. I think we're probably past my 7 minutes, but if you have ideas, you know, WhatsApp chat me. I'm on there.
Can I suggest one more?
Yeah, go quick.
Before we go? Okay, so Brogan's manifesto is amazing, and I think that you could create something like that, but something that your clients right now are believing in. And then you want to take them to the next level and you want to create that new manifesto. So you could identify the beliefs that they have right now that are holding them back and then kind of bring them into your new, you don't have to call it a manifesto, but I just love that. Yeah. Rogan's is so awesome because I think that you could identify that like there's another one that like the people who haven't done content your way are holding on to. Would you say, Brogan, like you can identify like what they're believing before they get to yours?
that's really what like the Content Her Way manifesto is all about. It's like, it's saying, you know, even just saying like the fact that you can do content in your own way. A lot of people, when they first come across that, like I think in a lot of ways, it's also why I've grown much more slowly, because I was just over here in the corner going, yeah, you can do things in your own way and make it fun and it'll be awesome. And people were like, well, no, but I gotta follow all these steps, and I've heard all these things and all these gurus are telling me to do all this stuff. So I think, yeah, like a lot of stuff that what is in the Content Her Way manifesto is literally like, even the one about like, you know, SEO is not the most important thing in the world. Like it is cutting through a lot of those beliefs that people often have about creating content. So yeah, no, I think that would be a really good idea for you, Ashley. I will also just say though, that manifesto was 2.5 years in the making. So don't feel like you have to have it perfect like right now.
Yeah, I have to do it today.
By noon, chop chop.
I know, right?
We want to report back next week.
So good. So good. So we're at our time. However, I think it would be really good if any of you have questions or feedback or thoughts about Set Vision Plan Change as you're diving into it.
I have a question.
Yes.
I haven't looked at it yet because December is crazy and I'm trying to figure out when to fit everything in. But my question is, okay, so I did get Power Sheets again this year, and I'm just wondering how to make everything fit together, because I definitely still want to go through Set Vision Plan Change. I want to still be able to do the prep work in my Power Sheets, and I just want to know how I can put them together so I'm not like just making the whole process way harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. So I did not get 2019 Power Sheets this year. Crazy. But that's because my goal is to start working on my own. So I didn't want to have something else I was using to distract me. So I'm keeping it this year. But if I'm looking at 2018 prep work, I think that my evaluation is like way, way, way more thorough than Power Sheets.
Okay.
Like it's a lot more in depth. So, but she's got more of the things like, who am I, getting to know me, like things that you're letting go of, meet your fears, what matters most to me. Like I don't go into that so much because mine is built around the focus areas, like all the key areas of life. So I would probably do Set Vision Plan Change first because of the evaluation part.
Okay.
And before, what I would do is, here, I'll show you in the lessons. So like welcome, reflect, key areas of life, reality check, and even lesson 5, set a clear vision. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I would do up to lesson 5, the end of lesson 5.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And then I think you could do your Power Sheets prep work, because then that will fill in some of the other blanks. And then before you jump into setting your goals, the setting your goals in Power Sheets and the plan for lasting change and like writing your experience statements, those are very similar. So like last year, my experience statements were my goals in Power Sheets.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I would do up to lesson 5 first before you jump into Power Sheets.
Okay, cool.
That's my recommendation.
That is helpful.
But she does have a lot of like other things that I don't think.
Yeah. And I do like having the other bits, because they just force me to think about things that I would otherwise rather ignore. So it is kind of helpful just to like force me in a way to actually consider certain things. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's cool. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have a question, Catherine.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you looked through Brogan's Content Your Way planner?
Sorry.
I wasn't sure if that was a nod in the middle of that. Okay. Where do you think, because she's like, you should have a plan for a year, and vision before you start planning your content. So I like wanted to do them like by the side by side, but then I was like, I should probably do
I'm not doing
Catherine's.
mine side by side. I'm going to
Yeah,
have
like-
vision plan change, be very clear about like my year, my business, really intentional. And then once I know that, like I'm probably not going to work through the Content Her Way planner. Like I'm going to look through it, but I'm not going to do it and create my plan until like January.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'd
Changing
recommend.
my content in January. Like, because then
Okay.
that means I'd have to be doing all of that now. So it's like I'm gonna in January work on changes to start updating in like Q2, just because that's my life and I know it's slow. So yeah, I would finish this course, get really clear about your year, your business, all of that, and then do content.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Thank you.
Ashley?
I wanted to know if we're going to do any sort of like co-working sessions or Zoom meetings where we're going to fill out any of the set vision plan change together or like work on it together or anything like that.
We can. I hadn't booked it in only because, and like that's why I didn't even do like a week by week thing. I'm like, you guys just need to have the course and like work on your own pace. So we totally can. Next week on the Monday, we have like a 12 o'clock, our guest expert call with Nevika. So what is the part though of the course that you guys would think would be the most beneficial? Because I don't think that journaling is good for, like that piece is good for co-working. So if we said, like if I picked a date and time for us to work on like lesson 4 and 5 together.
I don't even know that we need to make it a specific lesson. I was thinking more just like for accountability to like sit down and focus and get it done. We just have like an open Zoom chat where if we are working through it and questions would come up, we could just kind of like pop on and maybe ask and get some feedback around it. But I know we're not all going to be at the same place in the process, but maybe just, you know, even something that, you know, we just throw in the Facebook group and say, hey, I'm going to be hopping on Zoom today to co-work and do set vision plan change at 3:00. Anybody who wants to join, come join me. It doesn't need to be anything like, I don't think super structured, but that was just an idea.
I think I would promote it ahead of time because if only 2 people can show up, it's not worth me doing that.
Yeah.
Because I'm blocking time to do it like in the evenings and stuff with Joseph. Like, so if I'm going to spend time during a day doing it, I need to make sure there's going to be people that can be there.
For sure.
So I could do a poll though with like 2 different options. Do we think just once in the next week or 2?
I mean, I don't think we need to give it overkill, but if anybody wanted to branch off and do their own little like co-working session, I can be like, hey, you know, Brogan and Haley, they wanted to get on another date and the 3 of us set it up. So maybe even just saying we can do this as a group. And I also encourage you guys to like find an accountability partner and do your own co-working session. I like the accountability of like being there with people and like it forces me to sit down and do it.
Yes, totally.
And that's the only thing I'm working on for that, you know, 60, 90 minute time period or whatever.
Yep. And based on the times from my last poll for monthly planning parties, 10 a.m. is the most popular of all of them. So I'm glad I also 9 a.m. works for a lot of people too. What did you say, Ashley?
I said not for Brogan.
Well, 9 a.m. isn't too bad.
9 a.m. does. 9 a.m. works. Not during daylight saving. After daylight saving, it gets too late.
Yeah.
Can we do a final meetup after the holidays, like a check-in, make sure we're finished and ready for 2019? Yeah, totally. So like the first week that we're back, do a set vision plan change check-in. Is that what you're thinking? Tiana, like that week that we start, we're kicking off a new thing, but like do one final. Okay. One final Zoom call. All right. Yeah, I think that's good. And so maybe what I'll do is set up a couple Facebook events. That might be, yeah. I haven't done a lot of co-working stuff, but I am going to do one in January. It's one of my bonuses. It wasn't necessarily going to be the Set Vision Plan Change one, but maybe that's what I'll make it. Okay. Thanks, guys. I will do that. I'm just writing this down so don't forget. Any other thoughts or questions? I'll put something out about something in the next week or two. Probably next week would be ideal to keep, so people keep moving on it. Why is everyone brother calling you? Oh, Ashley, you're kind of phone calls? Your phone keeps ringing. That's so funny. What were you going to say, Megan?
I was just going to say that I haven't dived in because Adam agreed to do it with me. So I'm going to try and get him, to plan with me. So I'm excited to like set some couple goals and family goals too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, Ashley printed hers. I love it. There's something for me about like writing, so I'm glad I have a hard copy, but it's also digital and fillable. So we'll see. Next year, it might just be like if you buy the course or you get it, like I might actually like ship out workbooks to everybody. Like that might be part of the thing. So we'll see.
I pay more to have a workbook.
Well, it would be more because of the, but we'll see. My goal, we're putting this out there, is it's going to hopefully be the same setup as my planner, my quarterly planner. So like you could have 4 of your quarterly planners plus your Set Vision Plan Change book, and it's a little set of 5 and it's your whole year.
Yes.
So
that's perfect.
That's the goal. We'll see if I have them for next year or not, but who knows? Awesome. Thank you guys for that feedback. I felt like it was a little bit empty in December, like just saying, here's the course, work on it at your own pace. But I was like, it's also December. And so I didn't want to like add more stuff. But if you guys are asking, then I'm more than willing to like do stuff. And we'll still do our check-ins. We've got 2 more Monday check-ins so people can show up. So I might send another email to everybody. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Send an email just with like a reminder about, hey guys, like here are some calls. I'm going to do this. We're going to talk about Set Vision Plan Change on the Monday, Facebook updates, but then we're going to do a Set Vision Plan Change co-working. So yeah. Okay. Awesome. And Megan's like, it's not empty. I didn't feel like it wasn't, but I felt like, because we are doing a guest expert and there's a planning party and there's quarterly planning party. So there is a lot, but yeah, no, it's good.
But it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. It's not like any extra like trainings or learnings. We're really just getting prepared and getting focused for 2019. And so even though there's a lot of things going on, it's all very focused towards one goal, which we all have for December, and that's to get our 2019 set up. So
yeah.
We so appreciate you and love all that you're doing.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, you guys. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.